Nishant, welcome to Pretoria Prime. What if the next war isn't declared with a bang, but with a press release about narcotics? What if beneath the headlines of humanitarian aid and security lies the same old hunger for oil masked by moral outrage? Tonight, we peel back the layers of a story that was never really about drugs. The story right now is simple in outline and terrifying in implication. The airspace over Venezuela has been declared closed by Donald Trump. B-52 bombers, aircraft carriers, Tomahawk-armed destroyers, and Marines are massed in the Caribbean, and simulated airstrikes have been flown again and again, rehearsals that look like the last steps before live fire. The Wall Street Journal put it plainly. Trump says the airspace over Venezuela can be considered closed. Trump himself warned, "Stop sending poison to our country." On paper, this is framed as a defensive counter-narcotics operation. In reality, the pattern fits a different script. What the speakers got right is the scale and tempo. This is the biggest US military buildup in the hemisphere since the Iraq War. Carriers, B-52s, strike destroyers, radar work on Trinidad and Tobago, refueling agreements in the Dominican Republic. Flight tracking and Pentagon sources show simulated strike packages entering attack range and then turning back. That creates an unbearable ambiguity for Caracas. Every rehearsal could be the real thing. Venezuela's power grid has been hit. Korpolik called some of the outages sabotage, and whether those failures were internal, external, or the result of covert pressure, the effect is the same. Public panic and tactical advantage for an outside intervener. What the speakers missed, or at least underemphasized, is the arithmetic of motive. The Trump administration's public rationale is drugs. The political logic points elsewhere. The New York Times reported that Trump announced a pardon for former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernández, a man convicted in a Manhattan court of trafficking hundreds of tons of cocaine and taking millions in bribes. If the declared purpose here is to stop narco-trafficking, pardoning Hernandez is a dissonant act. That contradiction matters. It collapses the stated moral cover. It pushes the question from if to why. Why is force being prepositioned at this scale unless strategic resources and regime change are on the table? History gives us a template. Pretexts have been layered over geopolitical aims before. The Iraq example is the structural rhyme: moral argument, overwhelming force, then allocation of resources and influence once the fighting ceases. We must treat current allegations, sabotage, covert operations, false flag theories, as allegations, but we must also ask hard institutional questions. Who benefits from keeping Venezuela destabilized? Who stands to gain control of the largest proven oil reserves on the planet? Who controls the silence when congressional oversight and international law are bypassed? This is not just a regional emergency, it is a test of democratic accountability. When an administration cites drugs while pardoning a convicted trafficker and simultaneously stages the hardware of war, the public duty is to demand clarity. We should interrogate every claim, follow the deployments, and insist on transparency from a government that would otherwise trade explanation for spectacle. A war over oil is being disguised as a war on drugs again. If we accept that disguise without tearing it apart, we teach the next administration how easily motive can be hidden behind moral language. That's it, my friends. Please like and subscribe to support my channel. You can find more content on my Spotify and on YouTube under the handle @Pretoria Prime. Until we meet again, this was Scipio Americanus of Pretoria Prime News.